Yes. All right, but let's get started, and let me first start with one uh, piece of data which came to me actually quite unexpectedly, and I was honestly a bit surprised with what I have seen. And look, here's data by European Union statistics body, Eurostat, and it basically looks at industry of software creation, modification, testing, and it looks specifically at value added per employee in this industry. And what seemed to me quite shocking is the big gap if we look between the countries in the eastern part of Europe and countries in the western part of the Europe. So if we just, let's say, take Belgium and compare the value added in Belgium compared to value added in Latvia, then the difference is something like 3 times, right? And this is quite shocking. Actually, guys, I would appreciate if you could share your opinions why there is such a difference in value created, right? And Andres, if you could launch one of our posts, it asks questions specifically, why do you think, why so many companies in eastern part of Europe, and frankly, I know this is the case for all countries outside of Western Europe or Northern America, why they are selling at such a huge discount? All right, as answers are kicking in, let us continue with the agenda or what we are going to do today. So we have a challenge for ourselves in 30 minutes to tell you the most important things related to how to sell IT services. So in general, we will talk about 3 things. And first thing is we will talk about how B2B buyers are buying, and we will try to get in their heads and understand their thinking. Second thing, we will look at 3 things that you as a founder or CEO or chief business development officer of your company need to answer before you are ready to delegate your team to do some sales and marketing job. And third thing, we will look very specifically what is there to do, what you must do to be able to charge a higher price for your services and sell more of your services. So if you look at survey, then I would say that 27% say that the reason why IT services are sold at huge discount is because they cannot sell directly, they are subcontracting. 27% saying that they lack marketing and sales knowledge. 30% say that they don't just know how to justify higher price. And 15% say customers were coming on their own in the past, and probably that's not the case anymore. Very well, but let's continue and let's try to answer questions how buyers buy and perhaps how to charge higher price for your services. And let me start with the question. No, actually, before I start with the question, here's one thing I want to share. We have created the super simple starters playbook for selling IT services. So everyone who stays at the until the end of the webinar for the full 60 hours will get this ebook delivered right to their email. And you don't need to do anything.
Minutes, guys, not hours, as Roland said. don't reward so much.
Everybody who stays at the end will get a free copy in your email, and you don't need to do anything. We will know who stayed for the full session. But now let me ask you the following question. So here on the screen you see a painting, and let us do another survey. Let me ask you, how much do you think this painting actually costs? What's the value of it? How much was paid for this painting? Do you think it's 10 euro, 1,000 euro, 100,000 euro, 100 millions? All right. So answers are coming in, and around half of participants think that this is around 100,000. 32% thinks it's around 1,000, and 10 people thinks that the value is 100 million euros. All right, let me not tease you anymore. Actually, the last time this painting was sold, it was sold for a value of over 300 million euro, right? And now, if we ask ourselves how this painting could be sold at so crazy amount of money, we quickly realize that the value of painting is not related to the cost of paint that was used, not to the years of training of the artist, not of the cost of canvas, and absolutely not related to the cost of hours invested in painting, right? So the question is there something we can learn from the painting? Is there something that relates to the value or the price we are charging for our services? And my answer would be following. The pricing is extremely subjective thing. It is easy to manipulate with proper marketing and sales techniques. And today we will talk about some of these techniques which will allow you to increase your price, increase your value, charge more, sell more, make more profits, and so on. Now, if we look at what research tells or science about how important is price. So look, here's a research that was done a couple of years ago by a company called Demandbase. And they did interesting study. So they asked B2B buyers before the purchase, what are the most important factors for them to decide about purchase? And most of them, 82%, said that this is the price. Price is the most important factor, followed by features, functionality, positive reviews demonstrated in industry knowledge, experience, and deployment time. All right? So price. Is it price that really drives purchases? Turns out it's not. Look, the same company did the research right after the purchase was made, and they asked, okay, what was, when you think back about when you were making purchase, what turned out to be most important factors? And turns out these factors are completely different. So in the first place was ability to demonstrate stronger knowledge about solution area and business. Same ranking got demonstrated stronger knowledge about the company and its needs. And then came better mix of marketing content, better quality of marketing content, and so on. And as a result, what is surprising was that price didn't even make into top 5 of most important factors, right? So price, despite many of your customers, when you talk first time with them, they will mention that price is important. Actually, if they look back at the projects they have invested in, price was not even in the top 5 criteria. Now, if we ask, why is it so? Look, then we need to try to step into shoes of B2B buyer, right? And if you are a buyer who has responsibility to deliver some kind of a project, actually it's not a good position to be in. And why is it so? Because you are under huge risk. You don't know how to do it. You don't know whether you can trust different service providers. You want to reduce your own risk because after all, if the project fails, you may be fired on the spot. Your career may be over, right? So it's a huge risk for you. From other hand, if you look at buyers, they're not spending their own money, right? So spending somebody else's money is rather easy, particularly if you can trade it in for less personal risk, right? So knowing and considering approach to the risk and the trade-off between the risk and between the price and value, that goes a long, long way to help us understand how we can sell our services better. But in short, nobody cares if they are paying somebody else's money, even if that's their job. But everybody cares about their own career and the professional prospect. Now, let's take a look at where is the value in terms of services and where the value is not real, right? And if you look from buyer's perspective, they're setting the value in few things. And first of all, the value is in reaching important business outcome. Basically, if you are in charge of reaching certain business outcome, if you are in charge of delivering certain project, that's the most important thing to you, right? What else is value? Value is lower personal risk. Value is in helping reach group decision, right? Because today every purchase decision is made in group, right? So if you can help making this decision, that's very helpful. Then things that relate to some kind of a special, let's say, industry know-how, some kind of special processes, and also scarcity. If you can prove yourself being a specialist with really scarce, with really unique knowledge, you can charge basically any price you want, right? Let's look at what is not really valuable. And valuable is getting work done is not really valuable today, right? Because if you need certain work to just get done, you are more inclined to actually use the lowest price supplier, right? Latvians, if not Latvians, maybe guys from India, maybe somebody else will do it, right? The number of work hours invested or the number of hard work hours or extra work hours doesn't matter either, right? And everything that customer doesn't understand or they don't know or something that is mystery is not valuable either, right? So for us, in service sales business, we really need to focus on something that is really valuable, that is business outcomes. And second thing we need to consider is risks, right? And I would say that probably more deals are won by lower risk than higher business value, right? Okay, let's go ahead. Now, if you look at specialization, and you don't need to listen to me or Andres. Actually, later we will share with you a webcast recording with Andres Erglis, and Andres Erglis is general manager of Emergent. So that's one of the leading companies in our own home country, in Latvia, who's very successful selling in international market. So look what he has to say. So in our podcast, he said that, if you're just selling hours of body leasing, you can charge maybe 300, maybe 400 euros per hour. However, if you can demonstrate that you can provide specific expertise or specific solutions, the price per day per work can easily go up to 1,500, right? And he also says, and he supports our point that we are making, that if you are specialized, basically nobody will question the price you're charging. And specialization is something that helps you to stand out. It means that you have some kind of specific competency that you can show or demonstrate. It helps you to start conversations, and it allows you to really create more value, and respectively, it allows you to charge bigger price. So let's dive a bit deeper into area of specialization. So where the specialization can come from, right? And if you think about specialization, it's best to think about cross-section between multiple things, right? And if you look at where could be your specialization, try to think about perhaps some kind of specific processes which are solving some specific problem for specific industry, maybe for some specific customer size, right? And your company's superpower, or the way you can stand out, or something that allows you to charge really high value, not value, but create really high value and charge high price, lies in your specialization, right? And again, specialization means what? It means that you have some kind of competency that you can demonstrate, that you can show, right? And if you look from buyer's perspective, buyers prefer specialists because they think that the risk of delivery is much smaller if they deal with specialists. By definition, specialists have less competition. Specialization is probably the best answer there is to question, why should we buy from this company, right? And for another hand, if we talk about specialization, but for many of you who are just working in small markets like my own country, Latvia, or other small markets, local market is likely to be too small for specialization, right? Because if you specialize narrowly enough, you maybe can have only 1 or 2 or 3 customers in your own market, and that means that really to be able to create value, to be able to charge more, you have to step outside of your comfort zone. You have to go to international market. That's the way you can make really large money. And based on our experience, we can say that for IT service companies, unclear specialization is actually quite a common problem. So if you can solve this, you are already quite long way ahead of others of your competitors. But let's go ahead and let's look at the next point. Now, once you have thought about your specialization, obvious next step is to think, what is your ideal customer profile, right? Because those two things go together. If you're specialized in something, then there are some kind of customers who would value your specialization more than others, right? And try to think very carefully, like which customers are profitable for you, which customers are easy to sell to, which customers are highly satisfied. What do they have in common, right? Chances are that already today, out of the list of customers you are serving, you can define the list of ideal customer profile customers. And if the similarity of that group is big enough and you can specialize in serving them better, then I would say you have figured out 2 very important things. One being your specialization, and other being exact ideal customer profile, who's happy with your specialization, who needs the competency that you have. All right, well, let's take next step. Today we really don't have much time to talk about it. We are aiming for 30 minutes only, right? But if we look at ICPs, today you can get basically all kind of data, both free and paid, and it is quite doable thing for you to actually develop a list of your ICPs, and not only of a company list, but you can also get a list of decision makers in these companies. And this is actually extremely helpful because it allows you to focus down your marketing and sales efforts. And this means that also your marketing and sales becomes less expensive, simply because you're focusing down on a smaller group of ideal customer profile customers. Now again, don't take our word for it. Here's another webcast we will share with you. And this time it was Jānis Rozenplots, a former YP of Pipedrive. joining me and Andres for conversation, and he talked about Pipedrive's research in what happens if they only focus to a small group of ICP customers, so ideal customer profile customers only. And they found out that actually if they are focusing on ICP customers, the lifetime value or the revenue they get is 10, 12 times bigger, like that order of magnitude. They retain their customers 3 times more, and they are also on average paying two times more or 2 times higher monthly revenue, right? So in other words, if you focus on ICPs only, it becomes much easier to sell, even if you go to international market. And this focus, specialization, and ICP, this actually is a great door opener for you to international markets. And now, once we are clear about what our specialization is, once we are clear what is our ideal customer profile, putting those 2 things together actually makes it very easy to develop what is called unique value proposition, right? And very often, when we talk with our customers and companies, it's like some kind of sacred grail or something for many of them, right? And indeed it is, because once you figure out your unique value proposition, that makes for you very easy to talk with customers, to communicate who you are, to communicate your value, and so on and so on. So if we look at unique value proposition, then this is something that should go everywhere. Basically everywhere you communicate or you talk about your company, about its value, you also refer back to your UVP. So obviously your UVP should be clear from your website. It should be clear from your social presence, from your personal profiles, from content you're posting. Obviously, it goes into presentations, sales scripts, demos, case studies, blogs, videos, everywhere else. So again, I want to refer back to what I said earlier. Once you have clear specialization, once you have ideal customer profile, it helps you to develop unique value proposition. And once you've done that, voila, your marketing and sales becomes much easier, and you should aim in doing exactly these 3 things. Here I would like to remind about the playbook I promised to share, and this playbook is specifically designed to achieve you those 3 things. So stay with us until then, that we'll be happy to share this, I think, some 10-page document with you. All right, now we are approximately in the middle of our webinar. So in general, if you want to sell your IT services better and at higher price, there are 2 things that you have to do. First one we discussed already. So you choose specialization, focus on list of ideal customer profile customers, develop your UVP. Now let's talk about second part. And second part is you need to prepare your reach out plan. How are you reaching out to your ICPs? You need to figure out how are you going to demonstrate your competence. Basically, how will you show or how will you back up your claims? And third thing is you need to start selling your services as a first step product. So let's go ahead and let's talk about each of those. But before we do it, I would like to say that as we are talking of how to sell IT services, it's also good to reflect on how not to sell IT services. And here, this email I got like a few months ago is a great example of how not to sell IT services, right? This is classic cold email that people are blasting in the thousands. And by the way, let us know if cold email is working for you. I'm pretty sure it is not, right? And here, if we look at what we discussed previously about specialization, about ideal customer profile, about unique value proposition, that is something that's entirely missing out of this email. This person seems not to know whom they are addressing, what are our needs. They fail at explaining what their specialization is. They actually say that they have proficiency in various frameworks, and that suggests that they are not real specialized. And he's also saying that they excel in delivering tailored solutions. I'm also highly skeptical of that. All right. So never sell services like that. And I hope after you finish watching this webinar and you take a look at the playbook, you will never try to sell like that. All right. So let's go ahead and let's talk about reach out plan. So reach out plan means actually your actions which will help you to get in front of your ICPs, right? And this could be industry events. This could be group meetups. right? Actually, there's plenty of all kind of interest groups meeting, starting from, let's say, people collecting postal stamps to software developers, product developers, and so on, right? And this is something that can really work if you, let's say, travel to, let's say, Berlin and participate and present your competence at a meetup. Community events, online communities. Like there's almost subreddit almost for any topic imaginable, right? You can use also social posts. You can use paid ads to share content, such as, let's say, webinars. You can also use newsletter. So there's quite a lot of things that you can do, but it's important to prepare a priority list. What exactly are you going to do, right? And here principles are following. You need to make sure that audience hears regularly from you, right? So it means once per week, maybe 2 times per month is a must. Second thing, remember when we talked about reaching out to ideal customer profile audience. If you have defined it narrow enough, it's also not expensive to make sure that your content, let's say on LinkedIn, is actually showed in front of this audience on the newsfeed. Like it costs really inexpensive. And the best channel to reach out to audience is actually a database of non-content. So newsletter is really something that if you don't have, I would suggest you start writing basically right now. All right. Other part of the plan is actually to demonstrate your competence, actually to show, to back up your claims, right? And here again, things that you can easily do is engage with communities on online forums, on socials. And that doesn't necessarily mean always to post some kind of content, but also engaging in discussions, sharing your competence, answering questions work really well. Second thing is webinars. And I will tell you in a minute why webinars is a really good form of content. Well, video recording, demos. Super important is case studies, right? And actually case studies is something that a lot of customers are very interested in because they have a question. Okay, if I have this problem, how others are solving exactly the same problem? If you can answer that question, you will have a very interested audience in reading case studies, right? And then, of course, you can use customer feedback tools, things like Clutch, like DesignRush, and so on. Social posts, obviously, and as I mentioned, participation in online communities. And here we need to refer back to what we talked about earlier, like what was the key criteria on selecting a specific vendor after the purchase, right? And remember, it was demonstrating stronger knowledge about solution area and business, and it was demonstrating stronger knowledge about company and its needs, right? So you do not need always to talk about your solution or what you can provide. Try to step in the shoes of your customer, try to answer important questions they have. Perhaps there's some kind of new legislation coming up. Perhaps there's some kind of compliance issue, perhaps something else, right? But try to answer important questions your buyers may have and try to demonstrate your competency on the way. Now, if we look at content creation, it may seem like a big and difficult task, but believe me, it's much easier than you think. Let us look at this example. I mentioned that webinars is a great form of content. Here is why. Now, what happens if you are preparing a webinar? So it means you are preparing a presentation, you are preparing a speech, you are gathering data, statistics, perhaps you are also preparing some kind of demo to show, right? And all these things you can easily reuse, because if you have a webinar, you probably had also a presentation, right? So presentation you can reuse at talking at the event. You can also, from presentation, you can create illustrations, you can create lists, you can share slides. From webinar recording, you can share small fragments of the videos and so on. And this allows you with one good, let's say, speech at conference or one good webinar per quarter, fill your content calendar with quite a lot of small piece content. And particularly today, as AI is helping really to deal with tasks like transcriptions or turning some raw thoughts into well-written text, creating content is really not a problem. Make sure here that you publish content in such a way that your audience hears from you approximately 2 times per week. So I find that to be kind of a sweet spot. And again, remember, you do not necessarily need to create original content. The power of content creation or content marketing is not in creating content. The power sits into reusing content. reusing it again and again, and after a while, again. All right. Okay. Now, real big thing for service industry. So many of you are trying to sell really big projects, like tens of thousands of euro, hundreds of thousands of euro, perhaps millions. But selling real big project is difficult, right? So instead, I would propose to turn the thing around and focus on selling a small first step project, some small first step commitment. So what can it be? It can be things like perhaps a scoping workshop, maybe an audit, perhaps proof of concept project. Maybe you can sell, let's say, MVP, minimum viable product development. Again, that's not a big project, but that is specific and valuable enough for customers to take risk. Maybe you can develop some kind of partial functionality, or perhaps you can run a product discovery workshop, right? So why should you think about focusing on this first step offer? Right? There are a few very good reasons for that. First of all, if you sell small project that can be free or it can be paid, it's a great way to bring your team and customer team together for let's say a couple of hours of work, and this allows you to demonstrate competency, to allow customer to feel and sense how easy it is to work with you, and it allows to build trust, right? Second thing, it allows you to engage probably most of people who will be in group who makes decision about purchase of service, right? So again, you can demonstrate yourself in positive light. You can demonstrate value, and you can also eliminate all the perceived risk. What if project fails? What if these guys do not deliver, etc., etc. Because typically at workshop participates more than one person, or most of those who are making decision, it allows their group reach consensus. And reaching consensus is super important in making decision. And it allows to convert really big project. And, from our experience working with multiple partners and multiple customers, and also selling our own services, we can say that such first step offers converts to big project at a rate from 50 to 80%, right? So it's a big conversion rate. It's really makes sense doing those and offering those first step projects. And again, remember that this offer doesn't necessarily need to be free. Many of our customers are making money on those first step offers and delivering them as much as they can. And they are driving bigger projects, they are building pipeline, they help to build trust, and so on. And most importantly, they are much easier to sell and stomach for your customer than to commit to really big project. And also because very often, if buyers are business people, they have very little understanding how to buy, how much it will cost, and so on. So they will find this kind of workshop, which helps them answer questions. What does it take? How much it will cost? What's the timeline? What's the roadmap? They find it very valuable. So there's value in it, and you can actually sell projects like that. All right. So we're almost on time, right? So to summarize, there are 3 steps in selling your IT services. So step number 1 is deciding about your strategy, specialization, ideal customer profile, and unique value proposition. Step 2 is reaching out. So you have to figure out how do you reach out, how do you use content to demonstrate your competency, right? And how do you show competency, how you build trust. And step 3 is once you've done the previous steps, you can focus on selling the first significant result or selling the first step project, right? You can work at this step already with buyer, demonstrate them how you work, demonstrate the quality of your work, and this will help you close your big deal. Important thing here, which I missed now in the first step, is investments and resources. And here are the following principles. If you are going to generate demand for your services, you have to plan for certain investment. And before you invest in marketing or before you do something, my recommendation would be actually to start with at least those 3 steps. Actually, there are more than those 3 steps, but these 3 steps is minimum. Specialization, ICP, and the unique value proposition. Second thing, it is my recommendation to first invest in marketing and after that invest in sales, right? You need to create awareness about your company. You need to create demand before your sales has something to work, right? Or else your sales will be just forced to try doing cold calls or cold emails, and that doesn't work too well. And then always remember, what's the point of marketing investment? So first of all, it lets more people to know about you. Second thing, it allows to demonstrate value, right? And this value demonstration is something that allows you to increase price, start selling your services much more expensive, right? And the investments in marketing actually return very, very well in terms of your ability to increase price, right? On average, we can say that companies in technology business spend from 9 to 11% of their revenue in marketing, and you probably should consider approximately that kind of a level of investment if you want to generate pipeline, if you want to grow. All right, now let me talk a bit of how we can help you really master IT service sales. And myself and Andres, we have developed a 4 weeks masterclass and the challenge where we would go, where we would make a deep dive in answering the question how exactly to sell IT services, how to plan strategy, how to plan reach out, how to prepare demonstrations, and much, much more. So this program is designed both as a masterclass and challenge. And the challenge for you would be to develop your own strategy, unique value proposition, action plan in 4 weeks. So we will provide you with everything you need. We will provide you with guidance. We will provide you with templates, with tools, ask us anything, answering questions, community support, and much more. So let us take a look at each of classes. What is the content and what are we going to do? So class number 1 is a deep dive in the heads of customers. So today we did it approximately for 5 minutes. There's much, much more to learn. So we will learn how decisions are made, how the perception of value works. We will also look at scientific way to build trust, right? Then we will share lots of tools and templates. Here we will have a specialization selection tool, ICP template. We will also share with you the many sources where you can acquire information about your ICPs. There are both paid and free tools which allow you to actually generate a list, right? After first class, you will have a homework. You will have to select specialization, and you will have to prepare a list and description of your ICPs. To help you with that, we will have, after each class, one big question and answer session. In first session, I will show you database usage demo, right? There are a number of database tools that you can use, and we will answer your questions that will help you to do homework. Class number 2, we will focus more specifically on buyers. We will talk about buyers' personas, because to make purchase, we need to sell not only to company, we also need to sell to specific buyer within a company. So we will share with you buyer's interview question mind map. We will share with you template, UVP template. We will talk about how to turn your services into products, because selling product is much, much easier. And we will share with you 5 proven funnel templates which you will be able to put to use. Again, we will have specific homework here. We will also have Q&A session where we will focus on funnels, on UVP, and we will also discuss how did your buyer's research go. Third class, we focus on action, how to put everything we did before into action. And here we'll have quite a bit of tools and templates. We will have a reach out demonstration plan template. We will have a case study template. We will also show you how to create case studies with use of artificial intelligence, how to identify communities and how to research online communities. And you will also have a homework, reach out and demonstration plan, creating a case study, preparing list of communities to engage, and also calculating the marketing and sales investment that you need. Then finally, after the class 3, we will have a question and answer session. And on top of that, at the end, we will have a wrap-up session to make sure that you have acquired all the learning material and you are ready to go out in a marketplace and start selling. Such online trainings is not the first time we do it. Actually, we had slightly different online training in spring, and here you can see a number of participants, what kind of feedback they had. These are posts from LinkedIn. And if Sand and Ekaterina is present on this training, maybe you can share a word. How did how did it go in spring, right? So again, we are I would say quite good with training and extremely knowledgeable. Let us a bit then talk about ourselves. So who we are. My name is Roland Ozoliņš. I'm a co-founder of IBD Consulting. I'm also business growth strategist, business trainer. Me and Andres, we both are former Microsoft employees. And then Andres, you want to talk about yourself, or shall I introduce you?
Yeah, please introduce.
So Andres Yushchenko, my business partner, he's a product and marketing strategist, over 20 years in technology business, worked at Vlad Telecom, Nokia, Microsoft. He's also host of Fry Talks, right? Like these webcasts, couple of webcasts we mentioned. Briefly about our company. We actually practice exactly what we're preaching today. We are in services business. We've been founded in 2016, and we specialize in marketing and sales for tech companies selling in B2B. In a few years, we managed to build a high-value service business, and among our customers, we have Microsoft, we have Citrix Systems, we have also Holding, and so on. And in last couple of years, we are increasingly packaging our know-how and experience into trainings. All right, now let me shoot with the offer. So, as I mentioned, we are offering a masterclass and challenge. We aim to start at September this year. So, full price of the masterclass and challenge is 900 euros. If you sign up by the end of this week, you will get 20% discount. And as I mentioned, there are 3 classes. The whole training and the challenge takes place over 4 weeks. You will get over 10 templates. You will get 5 tunnels, tools, tips, and tricks. Basically, you will get everything that we know about how to sell services. You will also benefit from community, right? You will get chances to ask and share experience with other of your peers. You will be able to ask questions at any time in the chat. You will get the shareable online diploma, and you will get over 10 hours of instructor-led live content and discussion. So again, I think that this is a good offer. If I was starting in service business, I really would like to take this shortcut to speed up and not to learn from my own mistakes. Because I can say frankly that despite we are a successful company, me and Andres made quite a lot of mistakes when we started.
And we're still making it. But guys, don't be afraid because if you don't feel the satisfaction from this course and you will see that it's not for you, so the content we are providing is not really fitting your needs, we will just refund you, no question. So there is very low or no risk for you if you are really interested. We, however, are really looking for somebody who is committed because experience shows that if people are interested and they come to this course to learn something and also to share their insights, that's the value what we want to bring to everyone who participates. And the last course we did really was all across participants. The main feedback was that this feeling of community, feeling of the like-minded people is what participants enjoyed and really saw the huge value among others what we provided as a content. Anyway, probably that's enough for promoting the course itself. Now we are switching into the Q&A session, and we have already some questions in the chat window, but don't be shy. Feel free to ask other questions as well. And so we have also some questions submitted before the event, so we have quite many of them to address. Let's start and let's go one by one. So there is a question, Roland, about the data you shared on the slide.
Yes.
If you can.
Yes, this is Gartner data, and the study is called CMO Spend Survey, and this is a research Gartner does every year. And I can say that over years, this average is basically moving from 9 to 11% and then to 10 and so on. But 9 to 11%, that's a fair estimate. I must also say, however, that if you look at fast growth startups, they are spending on average 27% of their revenue on marketing and sales, right? But that's really high growth startups financed by venture capital. I cannot recommend, average IT service company start spending 30% of their revenue on marketing. That would be an overkill.
Thank you. So the next one we have, if I offer a service, may you bring it to the market? Okay, so in general, that is what we do. And if you're interested, just reach out to me or to Rolands, and we can have one-on-one conversation then on how we can do that. Yeah, and there are different ways how we can assist by teaching you, by assisting you, or by doing on your behalf. So yeah, different options available.
Yes, I would add to that irrespective of who does sales and marketing, it's critically important to answer these three questions about specialization, ideal customer profile, and UVP.
Yeah, this is the basic. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and then the next question, what to do if we are looking for our first customer and don't have any feedback from existing clients? It refers to IT outsourcing.
Well, from my perspective, I would say that if it is IT outsourcing or not IT outsourcing, you need to figure out how are you different in marketplace. Because if you are just selling plain IT outsourcing services, you will have to compete on price only. And that's what you don't want to do, because once you start competing on price only, all the profits go away. Get the playbook. There is a list of options listed what you need to consider when thinking about your specialization. Probably you can figure something out and find a way to stand out in market. But again, if you don't figure out how to stand out in market, you will be competing with the lowest cost IT outsourcing companies there are.
And if your question more related also to how to kind of back up your value proposition and your reputation or to gain trust, that is what Roland also explained. Try to lead with your expertise. So show that you are really a knowledgeable experts in the certain domain, would it be an IT outsourcing or maybe in specific customer, let's say, vertical or industry, whomever you are going to target with your services. Try to really show your competency first. And if you are gaining that trust, then you will be able to then generate first projects and first customers. Also, sometimes it was maybe investing a little bit in those first, let's say, reference customers. Maybe you can do it, as a pilot project, or maybe you can do it openly, discussing with customers that, hey, we are starting and we are ready to invest to you. So maybe we will do much more than, you pay and stuff like that. So you can see different ways how to generate those first projects. And then when you build some of your customer base, then it definitely will help you to increase the price and to go broader. Hope it helps. So the next one is real case studies or hypothetical ones work also if you know the answer. It's by Adam. I think it's more like as a recommendation, or is it as a question? Sorry. But yes, in general, yeah.
Let me maybe comment that. Actually, the best thing to have is a real case studies where you put customer as a hero in the center of it. Because you see, customers also have egos. If they are, let's say, head of some kind of department, and if case study is talking in positive light about their leadership, their accomplishments, they will want to share that case study with the world. They will become your advocate. They will be happy to come on your webinar and talk as a customer about what you did for them. So real case studies is best, particularly putting customer in the center. For some of you, a real world situation is that you have NDA agreements with your customers which do not allow to name the customer. In such cases, you can write case study, not exactly naming a customer, but saying, let's say, a leading company in fintech in European Union,
in Nordic region
like
with 400 stores and stuff like that. So you can describe the customer that everyone can recognize it, but not mentioning it directly.
Yes, and my recommendation is do not make things up, because reputation is same as life. You can lose it just once, right? And then you have to restart.
Okay. So another one is how to sell our services if people spend their budget on such a painting.
I think for people who are spending such budget on painting, they already have purchased all the services they may ever.
It with another painting. It seems that at least they are collecting paintings. Maybe they will be able to buy yours as well. Thanks for these questions. Okay, and now in the chat we don't have more questions, but we have some other questions submitted before. And let me maybe.
Oh, there are. Does LinkedIn still work for B2B sales? Cold outreach wise, kind of yes, but not really. Look, for LinkedIn to work, you really must be known by your audience. So in LinkedIn, it makes sense to post content regularly and actually to pay for this content to be seen by your target audience. And after a while, after seeing you again and again on that timeline, you will have built up kind of a relationship. It will be easy for you to approach them, engage them, and have a conversation. But LinkedIn, similarly as email, doesn't work too well with cold outreach.
Okay, so we have questions coming in. So good job, guys. Keep going. So here is another one. How narrow specialization should be and how to know is it correct?
Yes. Look, here this deserves a bit longer discussion, and my recommendation would be to join the masterclass. But until then, let me try to answer a bit. The most extreme of specialization that can happen is that you choose specialization so narrow that there are just few customers on the market, and we have had such cases with our customers. So specialization should be as narrow as possible, but big enough to make a good business for you, right? So I would say that in the most narrow case, probably it's few dozen customers, few hundred customers, maybe few.
But it very depends on what are you selling, whether those are really big fish projects or these are like smaller projects what you're selling to thousands. All depends, but in general, I would.
Yeah, but it must fit with your long-term business goal, so that you don't invest in some kind of a niche which is so small that actually in a few years you will have sold to everyone in that industry, and you will have just some kind of maintenance business left.
Yeah, and that is what you rightly mentioned. It's not only about the specialization itself, it's also about seeing what the market opportunity behind that specialization, right? And you need to kind of link it with the targets you want to achieve, financial targets. So if this is a too small market for you to achieve your financial targets, then you need to decide whether it's right segment or right audience you want to go after. Maybe you need to go for broader market.
Yes, another question. What's the most common reason why there's no contract from LinkedIn Outreach for 1.5 years, whereas there are good results from Upwork? I see it, the following result. On Upwork, people go to buy services. So that's their intent. And on LinkedIn, people go to network, they go to find a new job, they go to talk about business, but not necessary to purchase services. So Upwork, from that perspective, is much better place to sell. However, I would say that LinkedIn is much better channel to build audience, to build recognition, awareness, reputation, trust, and so on.
And those who are selling on Upwork, probably there are many of you who do it, can share maybe your experience on that. But I think it's also much more difficult nowadays to really get into these top, freelancers or suppliers or whatever, right? So the competition is really high. And if you have not built your reputation yet, that is a big, difficult problem to solve. So therefore, that is what Roland mentioned. You need to take care of your reputation early enough so that customers not going after the Upwork, but get in touch with you directly.
Yeah, another question. For B2B, which platform has delivered the best return on investment in your experience? LinkedIn advertising campaign or search engine platform campaigns? Look, here's quite mixed picture, and even with our experience, at least I myself cannot with high certainty forecast which channel will work best. So we have had campaigns in multiple geographies using multiple platforms, using Google Search, Google Display Network, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And in the same campaign, we had quite a mix, so that in some countries Google display ads worked better, and in other LinkedIn ads worked better. So in most cases, you should do very disciplined tests and figure that out.
But I think also you need to understand that the purposes of those platforms are different, and all depends on what are you actually looking for, what is your strategy, what you want to achieve. And ideally, you actually combine those different channels together. But again, this is something we can discuss separately if interested.
All right, very short question. Do ads work? And again, here's the longer story to tell. Generally, ads work. However, you have to understand how purchases are made, right? So unless you go on Fiverr or on tools similar to that, you cannot just sell a business with the first ad. So a good approach would be first to try to advertise your content, get people read your ebook, get people to participate in your webinar, get people, let's say, read your case study, right? And after that, you can try selling. So generally ads work, but ads do not work if you go straight forward advertising your services and putting price tag to that. People don't buy services like that. People do not buy complex things like that. So ads work, but there are quite a lot of nuances to that.
Yeah, very good answer, Roland. Okay, how do you handle customers who respond to a cold email and during a meeting say something like, we already have these XY services, or we are not looking and we just wanted to see what services you are providing?
I have a version why this happened. You see, and this we have actually seen with one of our customers in a slightly different context. So you see, when you are in the shoes of a guy who makes decision about purchases, you need to go to your boss and tell what kind of alternative providers did you review. And my hypothesis here is that the purpose of this call was to figure out price and to be able to show their boss that, look, we didn't talk with one provider only, we talked with several. This is what they said, and this is not what they are telling their boss, but we still chose the one we liked and one we trusted better, which was probably more expensive.
Yeah, I agree with that. On the other hand, there are also other options available, right? But in any way, so the signal is that there is something not good with their current provider, right? So maybe they are not sure about the service level, maybe they are not sure about the scope of services or price. Something is there, right? So for you, it's an opportunity, and you maybe ask them directly. That's the one direct approach. Secondly, I certainly would keep them nurturing, not trying to sell and again, but keeping them in the loop of your information, like inviting them to the webinar, sending them a newsletter until they unsubscribe maybe. But nevertheless, so that means that at some point of time, they probably will maybe come back to you.
All right, one more very interesting question from Amin. Amin, thank you for asking this. How to identify the right business decision makers how can smaller companies compete with the bigger ones in selling to enterprises, and how to differentiate from other similar service providers. So let's start from then. How to differentiate? This is what we talked a bit in the beginning. This is exactly the process you should go through, and there is very high probability that you will figure out something unique about your business. Second part of question: how can smaller companies compete in selling to enterprises? And again, this is what we talked about today. You specialize. Because you see, small companies can be very fast with acquiring new technologies, particularly if, let's say, there's some kind of new technology coming, let's say, from Microsoft or AWS or some other large platform. Smaller companies can get faster to market, and then they can provide unique competency faster and better. And in many cases, in large enterprises need this kind of competency. They cannot get it on market. So if you have exactly what your customer is looking for, you can easily sell to enterprises. And actually now, as I'm answering this question, we will add to email actually another podcast that we had with one of our customers. And she's actually CEO from company from Ukraine. And she was explaining on this podcast exactly how a small company located in Ukraine was selling to enterprise customers basically all across both East and West of Europe. And first part, Andres?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the advantage of yours is exactly the flexibility and ability to provide something what big companies, big IT companies are not able to do. It's not about the budget or about the price only. Many big companies don't want to take smaller projects. They maybe are much slower. They are much complicated to deal with and things like that. So try to think it not only about on the price level or technologies you can deliver, but also other things around that.
Yeah, and first question, how to identify the right business decision makers. Answer probably has several parts. First of all, you can use paid databases, right? And again, time is too short to go into details. Second thing is you can use a content which is specific enough that it interests respective business decision makers, right? As this webinar, I imagine mostly interested founders of not too large IT services company. You need to figure something out that interests those people. And once they sign up or once they, let's say, register to read a white paper or ebook, that's how they self-identify. They're basically raising a flag here we are. So that is a doable thing.
Okay, unfortunately, time is run out, so we probably need to wrap up. And to finish, once again, thank you guys for being with us. Thank you, Roland, for great delivery of this story. I think it was very concise and very to the point. Hopefully, it was also useful to everyone who participated. As promised, so we will share in the follow-up email recording and link to the playbook. If you are interested, you always can return back to us about the masterclass and other trainings, and stay tuned. We will definitely continue this conversation with other great webinars. We wish you all the great success with selling your services, and let's stay in touch. Let's connect on the LinkedIn and elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Have a great rest of the week.
Bye.
Bye.